So, as you guys know, or maybe you guys don't know, Joe Biden had a bit of a bad night. 50 million people watched Brandon fail to deliver coherent messages against Donald Trump. Donald Trump was obviously awful too in his performance. He was just like constantly talking about immigrant, like literally everything is because of immigrants in this country. Immigrants are doing all the wrong things. We're going to kill all of them, whatever. That was his message. It was insane. But people couldn't even pay attention to what Trump was saying because Biden had one job. He had one task. The reason why this is actually the earliest debate, the earliest presidential debates in American history was specifically because the Biden team. Well, yeah, he's going to get older. He's got a year left. Yeah. There's only going to be two debates, one in September and one that just happened 2 weeks ago. And the reason why they had the first debate so early is because the Democrat thought, or his team thought, he would be able to perform decently well and show the American public that he is not a cadaver, that he is not dead, that he still has like some kind of mental faculties, and that he'll be able to deliver a coherent message, and it will show how insane Trump is. By comparison, it will remind the Americans how crazy and chaotic Donald Trump is, and that Biden is the guy to beat him. He failed to do that. He failed to meet the challenge head on.
Really unpredictable.
Yeah, no one knew that was going to happen.
Yeah, no, you must be a radical communist if you were to say that he is old, especially if you said it in 2020, for example, like I did. But all of a sudden, I guess the veil was lifted and the entirety of mainstream media recognized something that we've been saying for a very long time, which is that like he's old and he's demented. Like, get out of the race, man. What the fuck are we doing? In the aftermath of that, there was a lot of fallout. There were Democratic Party donors that came out and were like, you have to drop out, you know, which is a massive deal. Yeah, that's a much bigger deal than like sitting Democratic governors and sitting Democratic House members that openly wrote the entirety of the New York Times op-ed editorial board demanded Biden drop out. These are all pretty important parts of the Democratic Party because like all the donors read the New York Times. They care about that. So all of a sudden they're going to look at their investments and recognize that they're maybe not going to get a return on that investment. So they're going to pull their funding. All of this stuff is really bad for Brandon, but it seems like Joseph Robinette Brandon's instinct were to selfishly stay in the race, to refuse to drop out and just lash out at anyone and everyone that has been saying like, dude, you're 800, just drop out, bow out gracefully and like let immediately put a new person in before time runs out.
Has anyone ever won being put in?
I don't believe so. The reality of the matter is he's so unpopular when the Democratic Party is ultimately pretty popular, like much more popular than the Republicans in comparison, that the idea is like anyone else would do a better job as long as there's enough.
I don't understand why they didn't give him more drugs. Like whatever they're giving him, why not just try something radical? Just like supercharge.
Put a little machine inside him, just control his mouth, do the whole thing.
Like, wake him up a little bit.
This was a mass failure, right? So a lot of people were like, dude, you gotta fix this, you gotta fix this. So what did Brandon do? He said, all right, in a week from now, which was 2 days ago, I am going to do an interview with George Stephanopoulos, okay? And in that interview, I'll show that I'm dynamic. I'll show America that I still got it. He also did a bunch of radio interviews in the process where he said he was a black woman, but it was like a regular gaffe. Like that was a normal gaffe, to be fair.
Trump is
yeah, like no, he has those gaffes too, like low-key. But the thing is, that wasn't enough for a lot of people who already, you know, the damage is done at this point. But it turns out this interview, and I haven't watched it at all, I've only seen like bits and pieces of it. Turns out this interview wasn't great either. So let's take a look at how Brandon tried to salvage the situation with a one-on-one with George Stephanopoulos.
ABC News.
Good evening from Madison, Wisconsin for a special edition of This Week. The first broadcast interview with President Biden.
By the way, I just want to point out something. This is how you know the Illuminati isn't real, okay?
Yeah, I was about to say that.
Like, if the cloning was real, they would just replace Biden with a better clone.
Much better.
Like, what do you mean? They would give him all of the adrenochrome on the planet so they could turn him into a dynamic person or literally swap him out with a new version. Obviously, this is like probably the greatest proof that all this Illuminati ain't real, okay? I'm sorry. The Illuminati either A, fell off, or B, doesn't exist.
Mr. President, thank you for doing this.
Thank you for having me.
Let's start with the debate.
Even
you and your team have said you had a...
Oh, one of the things that's really funny is that, like, I suspect this mother trying to be, like, he's trying to look like Trump. They tanned him.
Yeah.
That's
they
good,
tanned him.
It was.
Trump looked like a redneck. Like, it actually makes
Yeah,
it look better.
they hit him with an orange glow. He's going right wing on immigration. He literally is trying to build the wall. He went super orange, and he has a fail son in the White House. Hunter Biden is now in the White House. It is literally Trump too, dude. He's trying to go for the Cheeto vote.
Bad night.
Fake hands better though.
But your
friend
Nancy Pelosi actually framed the question that I think is on the minds of millions of Americans. Was this a bad episode or the sign of a more serious condition?
It's a bad episode. No indication of any serious condition. I was exhausted. I didn't listen to my instincts in terms of pairing.
Bro, I love that. Like, the line is, I was flying around too much. Like he's flying Ryanair, okay? Like he's jumping, he's doing like connection flights and you know what I mean? And he's sitting in a rickety old seat or something. Like he's an Air Force One with a medical team like attached to his hip. That's number one. Number two, it was 11 days before the election. I didn't even know that. When I found out, because I thought personally, like maybe he like flew a bunch of times before the election. I mean, before the debate. When I found out that the last big travel that he did from Europe was fucking 11 days before the debate, I lost my mind.
We've been here for 8 days and I'm still sleepy, so.
You did, you did say earlier today.
This morning, so I understand.
It's crazy.
And a bad night.
Maybe he's having nightmares.
You say you were exhausted, and I know you've said that before as well, but you came, and you did have a tough month, but you came home from Europe about 11 or 12 days before the debate, spent 6 days.
Every moment.
Yeah, because he has old man face. He can't fix that. Like, that's the problem. They've done so many facelifts on his face, and it looks truly terrifying.
Right,
but the problem is, like, you can't fix that. This is just a byproduct of being that old. Like, gravity is working, okay? You can't combat gravity. He always looks like this. He always has an old man face.
In Camp David, why wasn't that enough rest time, enough recovery time?
Because I was sick. I was feeling terrible. Matter of fact, the docs with me, I asked if they did a COVID test. We were trying to figure out what was wrong. They did a test to see whether or not I had some infection.
I'm the bravest boy. The doctors were like, you're the most sick man in America.
It's such a hard angle because you want to look like you're not old, you're not sick. But in order to cover for not being able to talk,
he should have said he was hungover because he was partying so hard.
I was Jill so hard. George, let me tell you, okay? The walls were sweating, okay? I was busting moves you haven't seen since the time when black people were not allowed to vote, okay? Like, I was busting moves left and right. You don't understand, George. I was going crazy with it.
You know, a virus. I didn't. I just had a really bad cold.
And did you ever watch the debate afterwards?
I don't think I did, no.
Oh, that's not good.
Bro! What do you mean? You didn't watch the debate out? You didn't review the game footage?
But also, like, he could just say no. And that would have been better. He's like, I can't remember if the debate even happened.
Here's the good. Here's the one thing you should always not do when your cognitive abilities are being called into question. Say you can't remember something. Okay? They're not asking you about your like legislative agenda from 1984. Okay? They're asking you if you reviewed the debate. That happened a week ago at this point.
Did you watch the VOD back, Biden?
It's bad.
What were you experiencing as you were going through the debate? Did you know how badly it was going?
Yeah, look, the whole way I prepared, nobody's fault mine. Nobody's fault but mine. I prepared what I usually would do, sitting down as I did come back to foreign leaders or the National Security Council for explicit detail. And I realized partway through that, I get quoted, the New York Times had me down at 10 points before the debate, 9 now or whatever the hell it is. The fact of the matter is that what I looked at is that he also lied 28 times. I couldn't, the way the debate ran, not my fault, no one else.
But it seemed like you were having trouble from the first question in, even before he spoke.
Damn, George is not. Okay, respect. My respect for Greek people rose tremendously. George is not holding back, dude. It's like, bro, you sucked from the start.
When they asked you what your name was, you're like,
what's that about, dude? Why did you suck so bad?
Trump like, kind of.
Yeah,
you gotta weigh those up.
Yeah, well, the whole point is like he is supposed to act for that. He's supposed to be able to counter that.
Well, I just had a bad night. You've had some bad interviews once in a while. I can't remember any. I'm sure you did.
I've had plenty. I guess the question, the problem is here for a lot of Americans watching is, you've said going back 2020, watch me, to people who are concerned about your age.
Like when you
50 million
grandparents and they're old and they're like, they're having trouble talking. I never interrogate them and be like, what the fuck is wrong with
Let
you,
him
Pa?
sleep.
Like, it's like, this happens to old people.
I think it's valid to do that though, because your grandparents are not running for president.
Well, they want to.
If your grandparents were like insisting on driving the car, you would be like, yeah, no, we're not going to do that. Like,
yeah.
No, that's crazy.
Let him sleep. Let him go to retirement home and yeah,
there is an air of sadness watching him perform. It is like elder abuse a little bit.
It's horrible.
But also, you cannot. You have to remember that while it is sad and he's white knuckling through this process, the entire reason why he's still staying in the race is malicious narcissism. Yeah. The reason why he's staying in is because in his mind he thinks he's always been discounted his entire political career, and now this is his moment of victory, and it's pure ego, pure spite.
You're gonna totally the DND was that right? What the?
Yeah, they saw him as a decent placeholder because they were God forbid Bernie wins, you know what I mean? And then we do a United States of Socialist America or something, United Socialist States of America. So I think that he was propped up as the guy to beat Trump, right? And now that that being called into question in the polling, that he is not beating Trump and others could potentially beat Trump, he is, he lost that. He lost the one reason as to why people wanted him to be the guy.
He should lean into the mentor and just nuke an ally, just a random person, and then everyone's it's like the madman thing. If you don't know what America to do, everyone will get in line.
The entire madman theory is that you say you're going to nuke people, but you don't actually
he's
do
the
it.
first one to do it.
He's going to do it and then forget he did it. He'll be I don't know if I did that.
I'm not sure.
Americans watch that debate, it seemed to confirm fears they already had.
Well, look, after that debate, I did 10 major events in a row, including till 2 o'clock in the morning after that debate. I did events in North Carolina. I did events in Georgia. I did events like this today. Large crowds, overwhelming response.
Very large crowd today.
No slipping.
Very.
And so I just had a bad night. I don't know why.
And how quickly did it come to you that you were having that bad night?
Well, it came to me as having a bad night when I realized that even when I was answering a question, even though they turned his mic off, he was still shouting. And I let it distract me. I'm not blaming it on that. But I realized that I just...
But you are, though.
Part of the other concern is that a pattern of decline that has been reported on recently. New York Times had a headline on July 2nd. Biden's lapses are said to be increasingly common and worrisome. Here's what they wrote. People who have spent time with President Biden over the last few months or so said the lapses appear to have grown more frequent, more pronounced, and after Thursday's debate, more worrisome. By many accounts, as evidenced by video footage, observation, and interviews, Mr. Biden is not the same today as he was even when he took office 3.5 years ago. Similar reporting in the Washington Post and the Wall Street Journal.
To be fair, I don't believe that. Like, I believe that he's gotten worse since he got elected for sure, but I don't believe that he was fine when he got elected either.
No.
Like, everyone with eyes to see could recognize that this dude, in comparison to his 2012 performance in the vice presidential debate, in comparison to his 2016 performance when he was giving interviews, he was significantly worse. He was significantly worse than what he once was, and yet people just refuse to recognize it.
And today that you were when you took office 3.5 years ago.
In terms of successes, yes. I also was the guy who put together a peace plan for the Middle East that may become a fruition. I was also the guy that expanded NATO. I was also the guy that...
Dude, by the way, this is the funniest thing. Like, always, people are like, you're old. What's going on? Your brain's not working. He's like, well, I got NATO. It's like, yeah, dude, Americans are going to go crazy over NATO, dude. They're like, wow, Sweden and Finland joined NATO? That's awesome. That makes me so happy that, the roads have holes the size of children in them. And also, we don't have healthcare. And the cost of living is, insane in this country. Oh, but Finland and Sweden joined NATO. It's so sick. This is what is in the minds of the average Americans that are living in all of these states that are now contested. I said this a couple years ago at this point where I was like, I really, really, really hope that the Democrats don't try to run on re-election on the account of Ukraine, especially because the pro-Ukrainian position will be significantly less popular by the time that he's running for re-election. It's not like the momentum that existed in the immediate aftermath of Vladimir Putin's unjustifiable invasion of Ukraine. Of course it was going to get, less popular in the eyes of Americans, and he's literally doing that. You should never bring that up. You should just only talk about abortion. You should only talk about how Trump is a genuine threat to democracy. But he's the worst person to talk about that anyway, because if Trump is a genuine threat to democracy, then you can't put a cadaver that is the least popular president, the least popular incumbent at this point, historically. You can't do that.
Can I run the 110 flat? No, but I'm still in good shape.
Are you more frail?
No.
No.
You're frail, Mr. President.
I know you spoke.
Keep my schedule.
I know you spoke with your doctor after the debate. What did he say?
He said, he just looked at me. He said, you're exhausted. I said, I have medical doctors travel me everywhere. Every president does, Medical doctors, some of the best in the world, travel me everywhere I go.
Probably.
I have an ongoing assessment of what I'm doing. They don't hesitate to tell me if they think something wrong.
I know you said you have an ongoing assessment. Have you had a full
I like that he said, my doctor just looked at me. Yeah. My doctor looked at me and said, bro, he's like, we're not going to make it across the finish line, Joe.
I didn't notice before, but you're 88. That's what I'm noticing.
Yeah, you're not a good 88, okay? You're the bad one.
I get a full neurological test every day with me. And I've had a full physical. I had, I've been at Walter Reed for my physical. Yes.
I know your doctor said he consulted with a neurologist. I guess I'm asking a slightly different question. Have you had the specific cognitive tests, and have you had a neurologist, a specialist, do an examination?
You want to lie.
No one said I had to. No one said, they said I'm good.
Would you be willing to undergo an independent medical evaluation that included neurological and cognitive tests and release the results to the American people?
Look,
yes.
I have a cognitive test every single day. Every day I have that
Yes! Okay, I'm not kidding. If I remember correctly, if my political autism is working right now, I'm almost certain Trump said this exact same thing.
Yeah. He said he was the best.
They've
never seen someone ace it.
No, I'm pretty sure Trump directly responded to the question of him experiencing cognitive decline with, my job as the president is a test every day. I'm not even kidding.
Wait, the thing he said directly before this was, why would I have to do one? And then he's like, oh, I do it all the time. I'm doing one right now.
Not only am I campaigning, but I'm running the world. And that's not how it sounds like hyperbole. But we are the essential nation in the world. Madeleine Albright was right. And every single day, for example, today, before I come out here, I'm on the phone with Prime Minister, anyway, I shouldn't get into detail, but
good day.
with Netanyahu. I'm on the phone with the new Prime Minister of England. I'm working on what we're doing with regard to, in Europe, with regard to expansion of NATO and whether it's going to stick. I'm taking on Putin. Every day, there's no day I go through, there are not those decisions I have to make every single day.
And you have been doing that, and the American people have been watching, yet their concerns about your age and your health are growing. So that's why I'm asking, to reassure them, would you be willing to have the independent medical evaluation?
Watch me there's a lot of time left in this campaign.
He always loves saying, watch me. And it's like weird because we did. That's why you're doing this interview. Because we watched you and nobody liked what they saw.
It's over 125 days.
So the right answer right now is no, you don't want to do that right
now.
now.
I've already done it.
You talked a lot about your successes in the beginning of this interview, and I don't want to dispute that. I don't want to debate that. But as you know, elections are about the future, not the past. They're about tomorrow, not yesterday. And the question on so many people's minds right now is, can you serve effectively for the next 4 years?
George, I'm the guy that put NATO together in the future. No one thought I could expand it. I'm the guy that shut Putin down.
Bro, I'm sorry. I know I'm the worst person, especially sitting next to the only other people that are the worst people to talk about this, but like, is this legitimately a thing that people will be like, yeah, he put NATO together? Like,
is he talking about like back in like 1945? Or like, what?
Yeah. He's like, we took those Nazi generals and we put them into power, Jack. We brought West Germany into NATO, and we got those. They were saying the Reich generals. We got them in there. It's like, oh yeah, I expanded NATO. First of all, that was Putin. Okay, so put some respect on it. He literally gave you that gift. And secondly, I don't understand like why. Like, is this actually a solid approach? Like, brother, liberals love NATO. No, dude. Of liberals on Reddit and liberals on Twitter, people with globe emojis do not represent the broader electorate. They never have, and they never will. They do not represent the broader electorate, just like hammer and sickle Twitter does not represent the broader electorate. Okay, it doesn't work that way. The only way that Twitter actually changes discourse in the real world is because all the journalists used to be on Twitter, so they would write about it on Twitter endlessly. The Democratic Party's interest in like NATO and American foreign policy and like continuing American dominance or whatever is not necessarily something that the rest of the Americans give a about. I don't think this is as good as a take as like Brandon thinks it is. He should focus on domestic policy. He should focus on how the NLRB is going after bad businesses that are legitimately over workers. You should talk about the IRA. You should talk about like all of the infrastructure investments that his administration was able to accomplish regardless of the Republicans and their obstructionist capacity. I don't think that like I expanded NATO is gonna be a successful re-election message. It doesn't show up at all in the polls, by the way. Like, even Gaza is like number 4, right? A lot of people don't care about foreign policy. When they do, it's like significant for them, but ultimately is nowhere near in those polls. Like, when they look at it, it's like number 1 is like the number 1 concern. Cost of living is the number 1 concern. Democracy is like a close second sometimes, but like nowhere in those polls they talk about like, oh yeah, we expanded NATO, it's awesome. I don't think people care.
I'm the guy that put together a South Pacific initiative with AUKUS. I'm the guy that got 50 nations out, not only in Europe, outside of Europe as well.
So always going in focus.
Ukraine. I'm the guy that got Japanese to expand their budget.
These are, first of all, these are ultimately very bad things that he did. Yeah. Like, he's talking about how he expanded the Japanese defense industry. Like, not only is it irrelevant to the average American voter, but it's also not a good thing for the world.
No, I think it's pretty exciting for Americans. Get to nuke them again. That's so cool.
Yeah. It's like, I'm the one who's beefing up the Japanese. I'm the one who's beefing up the Japanese war machine. I'm the one who's beefing up the German war machine. I'm the one who's beefing up the Italian war machine. Let me tell you, Jack, we're running it back. Okay, World War III. This time we're on the right side. This is all about going into a Cold War with China so that we can sanction them and constrain their economy so that we remain the biggest economy. I know, but like, I don't think that is like an attitude. I don't think that's Americans are thinking about that. He would have a much easier time being like, I defeated China. Yeah. Okay, he should just say that. You know what I mean? He should just be like, China is rising and we're gonna kill them. We're gonna kill all the Chinese. That would probably be a more populist framing.
That's kind of what he's saying.
No. Democrats love doing this insane technocratic approach and like incredibly convoluted messaging that appeal to like Paul Krugman and Paul Krugman only. Okay, like, this is not a winning narrative for the average American. The average American, they're xenophobic as shit too. Like, they're afraid of China for sure. They don't know exactly why, but they're afraid of China. They're told that China is bad, and that's one thing. So just say it like that. I'm defeating China by creating strong allegiances. Even then, that's not a winning narrative in general. You know what I mean?
When I decided we used to have 40% computer chips, we invented the chip. That little chip, computer chip. It's in everything from cell phone to web.
We're gonna run that back.
For example,
I love it.
when I decided we used to have 40% computer chips, we invented the chip. That little chip, computer chip. It's in everything from cell phone to weapons. And so we used to have 40%, and we're down to virtually nothing. So I get in the plane against the advice of everybody, and I fly to South Korea. I convinced them to invest in the United States billions of dollars. Now we have tens of billions of dollars being invested in the United States, making us back in a position where we're going to own that industry. We have,
like, this is also, this is like exactly the type of thing Trump would say. The problem is Trump would say it in a better way.
With enough conviction that you're like,
Like, this is unironically like Trump right now. Oh, the chips. You know those chips.
The
They're in
little
computers.
chips,
The
they're
little
everywhere.
chips. They're so tiny. They're the best chips. We used to make the best chips. We don't make the best chips anymore. China's making all the chips. I brought it back. I brought the chip back.
I'm running again because I think I understand best what has to be done to take this nation to a completely new level. We're on our way. We're on our way. And look, the decision recently made by Supreme Court on immunity. You know, the next president of the United States, it's not just about whether he or she knows what they're doing. It's not about a conglomerate of people making decisions. It's about the character of the president.
It's an intractable third thing. It's just the vibes. It's the aura. It's the aura of the presidency. Okay. No, it absolutely is about like administrative competency, man. Like, what are we talking about?
I love it where he does his thing where he leans in and makes voice deeper.
Yeah.
Especially a voice like that.
Whether or not this Constitution is employed the right way.
Let me ask you a tougher, more personal question. Are you sure you're being honest with yourself when you say you have the mental and physical capacity?
George, bringing it back. Let's go.
It's like half an hour.
George's like, okay, Grandpa, tell me about your brain again.
Yeah.
Let's run that back until you're exhausted and you do flub. At least his face is not doing the weird thing anymore. In the beginning, he's always like, and then I think he like starts.
Yeah, no, I think he moves his face around until he finds a default position where he's like,
this is
okay,
a better.
I'll sit here.
I will say this is a better default position for his
yeah,
face
I
than
like
the.
that.
It still looks like he can't hear you. It still looks like he's like tilting through one way.
To serve another 4 years.
Yes, I am, because George, the last thing I want to do is not be able to meet that. I think, as some of the senior economists and senior foreign policy specialists say, if I stop now, I'd go down in history as a pretty successful president. No one thought I'd get done what we got done.
But are you being honest with yourself as well
Now he's
about
asking
your
for
ability
Biden.
to defeat Donald Trump right now?
Yes. Yes, yes, yes.
You say that, and let me challenge you.
He's such a narcissist. I'm gonna go back to this. Okay, this is all ego, bro. This is a full ego run right now. The entire narrative is he's still running on like I'm the best. I'm the only guy to beat Trump. Obviously, people from inside of the administration are saying no, that's not the case. Here's a scoop from Alex Thompson at Axios. Look at the template that the White House sent staffers organizing events for POTUS. I staffed a simple fundraiser to a private residence, but they treated it like it was a NATO summit with his movement. A person who staffed a Biden event said. They're literally directing him specifically on like which directions he needs to go to. The private fundraiser that he did, by the way, he actually used the teleprompter on. I think the last private fundraiser that he did, he didn't even go off the cuff. He used the teleprompter, which also got donors worried because they were like, what the, he can't even talk to us? Is actually legitimately scary.
You should have given him more money.
Since
If
the
you want the real
debate, some
talk.
Dems who attended and helped set up Biden events have wondered whether his team's focus on minute details were to obscure POTUS's limitations rather than just a reflection of a meticulous app. Yeah, Disney Air is pulled out already. What is this? Reality check. Organizing presidential events, often called advanced work, is very intensive and detail focused for every commander-in-chief. Yeah, there's a difference though. And normally, they don't use teleprompters at donor events. And they definitely shouldn't use a teleprompter at a donor event, a closed-door private donor meeting, especially when people are saying, you can't talk without a teleprompter. When that's like the major concern that donors have with you, then you know, you need to address that concern head on by literally not using a teleprompter and going off the cuff. It's a private event.
Economists and senior foreign policy specialists say, if I stop now, I'd go down in history as a pretty successful president. No one thought I'd get done what we
Bro, they're saying that so you drop out. They're like, yeah, everyone is saying that so you drop out. They're like, yeah, dude, come on, you have a great legacy already. Please shut the leave. 4 more senior Dems call on Biden to stand down from re-election bid. Other Democrats also expressed concerns. This happened today. Hakeem Jeffries had an all-hands meeting with the entirety of the Democratic Party, the House of Representatives, the Democrats in the House of Representatives, and now 4 more senior Dems are calling for Biden to stand down, including, but not limited to, Representative Jerry Nadler, who is also famous for pooping in his pants, okay? Like, I'm not kidding. He's also 800. That's the guy I told Brandon. People say he has a disability. That's why he walks like that. But I
think himself is a disability.
Yeah, I think it's because he pooped his pants. I refuse to believe people that say that. He's the guy who told Brandon to step down because he's too old. That's pretty crazy. I know what that looks like when you fart and then it turns out there's more to that fart than you previously assumed. Okay,
And
we've all been there. We've all been there.
If he was walking like that, that was a big mess.
Yeah.
That's
when it gets down to your ankles and you have to like kind of slide.
Yeah. We know what that's like. Don't lie to me like that. Oh yeah, he's a disability.
Not when he hadn't been challenged in a way that he's not to be challenged. Not when people...
You've had months to challenge him.
Oh, I sure had months, but I was also doing a hell of a lot of other things, like wars around the world. Like keeping NATO.
Yeah, I was doing wars. I was doing too many wars. That's good, man. It's a good take. You're killing this interview, dude. Congratulations. I was doing wars. I was doing NATO.
Yeah, like working anyway. But look.
Oh, and he hit the anyway. That's my favorite. When he just cuts himself off and he's like, anyway.
That's smart. Smarter than you.
No, but he already goes too far. He already says it when he's been silent for 10 seconds.
Yeah, and then he just shuts up. He's like, we shouldn't explore that avenue any further.
Do you really believe you're not behind right now?
I think it's all the pollsters I talk to tell me it's a toss also.
Yeah, because your closest allies and your staffers, I think, are lying to you.
Yeah.
And also, it's not even true. You know there's bad polls. An internal poll leaked from the Biden camp. Like one of the numbers they were looking at that they did not want out there that was leaked to Axios that showed post-debate performance. Like he dropped significant points in key states. Even when his own internal posters are telling him or his staff is telling him, oh, it's a toss-up, Mr. President. That's not good. That's bad. That means you're not winning. Like, it shouldn't be a toss-up. You're the incumbent. As an incumbent, you have the advantage. You're supposed to have the incumbent's advantage.
Do they historically win?
Yeah, usually, unless there's usually, unless they like big time, like Trump with COVID, unless there's like a once in a lifetime, global event like COVID. Yeah, usually the incumbent has the advantage. Yeah, here's the leak poll. Leak them internal polling from Open Labs, progressive nonprofit that conducts polling and message testing for a constellation of Democratic group, including the preferred super PAC for Biden's re-election campaign. Their website is mostly blank. They don't seek publicity. Their client list is closely held, but their data-driven memos are trusted in Democratic circles and typically pass around a small group of clients and strategists. It's just not looking too good. Post-debate margin. Like he's dropping off the map. Listen, he might not win in 2024, but Biden, I think, has a real chance in 2028. Yeah, 100%.
This is a guy who told us to put bleach in our arms to deal with COVID. With over a million people died. This is a guy who talks about wanting to get rid of the healthcare provisions we put in place. This is a guy who wants to give the power back to big pharma, be able to charge exorbitant prices for the drug. This is a guy who wants to undo every single thing I've done. Every single thing.
I understand that. I understand that's why you want to stay in the race. But if you convince yourself that only you can defeat him,
I convinced myself of two things. I'm the most qualified person to beat him, and I know how to get things done.
if you can be convinced that you cannot beat Donald Trump, will you stand out?
Yeah.
It depends if the Lord Almighty comes down and tells me that, I might do that.
Oh my
No,
God.
that was my, everyone I speak to here.
No,
That's
that's
just an
not.
American thing.
Yeah, if Jesus Christ comes down and is like, bro, you got to drop out, then I'll drop out, is really good. That's it.
I mean, I don't think they really have an option.
If an 81-year-old doctor who struggled to complete sentences looked down at me on the operating table and said he didn't care if I lived or not as long as he tried his hardest and did his best, I'm not sure that would be comforting. Hey, doc, there are other people invested in the outcome of this procedure than just you. Yeah, I mean, he's right. That's a good take from Ryan.
I'm not that invested.
You're in Australia, dude. Okay. He's like, yeah, we already got AUKUS, which is what he was really stoked on. He's like, we already got the nuclear submarine.
That's fine. Fuck
I'm
yeah.
good. I got my bag. Yeah. Over my dead body is basically what he's saying here, which is crazy.
I mean, on a more practical level, the Washington Post just reported in the last hour that Senator Mark Warner is assembling a group of senators together to try to convince you to stand down because they don't think you can.
Well, Mark is a good man. We've never had that. He also tried to get the nomination too. Mark's not.
He didn't. What does he mean? Am I wrong on this? I don't think wait, what? Did Mark Warner run for president? Why did he say he tried to get the nomination?
That's amazing. That was so loud.
Mark Warner tried to get the nomination in 2008. He formed an exploratory committee in 2008 but decided not to run. I don't think he's talking about that. Why would you bring that up?
Maybe he just leaked something he wasn't meant to leak.
No, this literally feels like he tried to be like, yeah, Mark is just jealous of my steez. That's such a weird thing to say. The fact that Biden can recall on the spot that Warner planned to run in 2008 while you failed to do even basic research before posting this asinine ramble fuckery. Oh my God.
It was a mistake. It was
Ramble fuckery. Asinine ramble fuckery. Dude, the way that these guys write, like, oh my God, dude, re-education camp for them too, okay? No. Even if he didn't lock down a 2008, like, failed attempt to run with an exploratory committee in 2006 or whatever, even if that was what he was recalling, that still proves the point that I was making, which is that when you are experiencing dementia, early stages, middle stages, late stages of dementia, you have perfect recall of events that transpired many, many years ago, but you can't remember what you ate for breakfast, okay? That's the problem. It's not 2010, it's 2024.
But also, there's no way he remembered that. That was just a mistake, and he got lucky. He made it. He slipped.
I don't think. Yeah, I think he just. I don't think he's like doing perfect recall.
Mark and I have a different perspective. I respect it.
And if Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries and Nancy Pelosi come down and say, we're worried that if you stay in the race, we're going to lose the House and the Senate, how will you respond?
I go into detail with them. I've spoken to all of them in detail, including Jim Clyburn, every one of them. They all said I should stay in the race. Stay in the race. No one said none of the people I should leave.
But if they do?
Well, it's like, they're not going to do that.
You sure?
Well, yeah, I'm sure. Look, I mean, if the Lord Almighty came down and said, Joe, get out of the race, I'd get out of the race. The Lord Almighty's not coming down.
Damn, bro. He's just like, no, the only way I drop out is if God tells me to is a crazy thing.
It's not that hypothetical anymore. I grant that they have not requested a meeting, but it's been reported.
I've met with them. I've met with a lot of these people. I talk with them regularly.
Did Moran get you a bowl?
I had
He did.
an hour conversation with Hakeem. I had more time than that with Jim Clyburn. I spent time with many hours off and on the last little bit with Chuck Schumer. It's not like I had all the governors.
I agree that the Lord Almighty is not going to come down, but if you...
Yeah, God is personally not going to smite you, sir. Is there any other reason for you to drop out?
are told reliably from your allies, from your friends and supporters in the Democratic Party, in the House and the Senate, that they're concerned you're going to lose the House and the Senate if you stay in, what will you do?
I'm not going to answer that question. It's not going to happen.
Good answer.
What's your plan to turn the campaign around?
Saw it today.
This, which is great.
Yeah, he's doing well.
He's killing it. This definitely did a number, dude. Even the most like diehard loyalists are having a hard time coping with this. From what I understand, some people on Twitter were talking about, because like that's where the most like like aggro DNC defenders are, and the Democratic Party defenders are. And even they were like, oh, they actually cooked Biden. They picked up the audio deliberately.
I heard that.
This feels more like an intervention than an interview. It feels like George is a grown son trying to convince his dad it's no longer okay to drive the Ford into town. Yeah, I've never seen a president with 36% approval getting reelected. It's bad. It's really bad.
How many people do you get draw crowds like I do?
Again, another Trumpism.
Yeah.
Dude, he studied his opponent. Okay, let me tell you. He studied his opponent well. He is adopting all of the Trump trope. It's awesome. I got big rallies. I got big crowds, Jack.
Find any more enthusiastic than today? Huh?
I mean, I don't think you want to play the crowd game. Donald Trump can draw big crowds. There's no question about that.
How you can draw a big crowd, but what's he say? Who's he have? I'm the guy supposedly in trouble. We raised
Wait, what? No, you literally said you can draw a big crowd. And now he's like, well, you draw a big crowd, but like it doesn't look too good in comparison to Trump's big crowd.
Same thing happened in 2020. Oh, Biden, I don't know, man. What's he going to do?
Someone older than him is giving you advice.
Yeah.
Nothing changed except his voice just went deeper.
That's a good one. I like that. He should do that voice more often.
Same thing happened in 2020. Oh, Biden, I don't know, man. What's he going to do? He may bring me down. He may.
What?
I've never.
What? Oh, no.
His old man is exactly the same as normal Biden.
Yeah. An even older man than Biden has come out and told him with his grovelly voice that, I don't know, you might be a little too old.
I completely understand why Biden hasn't watched a debate. I would not watch any of this. Have you watched videos of like filming you drunk? You're like very actively trying to avoid things.
Yeah.
We're seeing the president 36% approval get reelected.
Well, I don't believe that's my approval rate. That's not what our polls show.
What? He's just on pure cope. He's like, nah, those polls are fake and wrong and gay. I don't care. I don't care, Jack. Polls are lying. I'm so goddamn popular.
And if you stay in and Trump is elected and everything you're warning about comes to pass, how will you feel in January?
I feel as long as I gave it my all and I did the good job as I know I can do. That's what this is about.
That's not what this is about. You're insane. You are insane. What an unimaginably selfish response. If you lose because everyone told you you're too old and you're going to lose to Trump and you refuse to drop out, how would you feel? Well, I still try my best. It's like, no, dude, you can't say that. Yeah. People watching this is not just Jill Biden and your mom, okay? Like, this is like the entire American public, or at least much less than the people that watch the debate, but like still a pretty decent number of people are watching this conversation. Like, they don't think, oh, I love Joe Biden so much. Like, it's fine. As long as he tried his best. Like, that's insane. Who the f*** you think you are? That's crazy. As long as I tried my best. Where's the narcissism in this circumstance? You should be like, yo, that's not going to happen because I'm going to win.
I'm pretty unfamiliar with like American English. Is good as a normal word to you guys? Or is it?
No, good is not a, no, he that up too, but that's fine. That's like, whatever.
Yeah,
but this is insane to think that like, oh, I tried my very best and that's what matters. Like, no, dude, this isn't like Little League, okay? We're not going out for lemonade after baseball, okay? You're out of your mind, dog. You mean, oh, I tried my best and then that's all that matters? No, that's not all that matters. There's things that matter so much more than that. Actually, that's the least significant part of this conversation.
Everyone at the end is just like, trying.
Yeah.
You did well.
Yeah, what are we talking about? I thought this was about saving democracy, not saving Biden's opinions, dude. Is not saving Biden's like the personal confidence. He's gonna lose and deny the results because their polls showed otherwise. Yeah, he's gonna pull a full Trump. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The things that happen in the next several years are going to determine what the next 6-7 decades look like. And who's going to be able to hold NATO together like me? Who's going to be able to be in a position where I'm able to keep the Pacific Basin in a position where we're at least checkmating China now?
That's another thing that like Trump was, again, this goes back to like the immigration conversation. Being reactionary towards China in your foreign policy is the Republican position. Democrats cannot win on that front either, okay? You can be an elderly statesman and talk about like, cooler head prevailing and that you need to take the necessary precautions against China even though they're a great competitor, blah, blah, blah. But you can't be like, I'm the one who's going to take down Xi Jinping or whatever. You can't say that. That's the Republican position. No one is going to go, yes, I'm voting for the Democratic president because they are going to be the ones that kill immigrants. I'm voting for the Democratic president because they are the ones who are going to actually keep China in check. I don't think that this is like a real confidence builder for the Democratic ticket. It's so stupid. It is yet another unironic flub, both bad policy and bad politics from the Democratic Party.
Who's going to do that? Who has that reach? Who knows all these? We're going to have, I guess, a good way to judge me is you're going to have now the NATO conference.
By the way, 22 minutes in and he's also devolving. Like he is now melting. Okay. Look, he started off strong, did the weird face, but at least he was like more coherent. Now he's like,
it's the United States, actually. Come listen.
He's like All Might, dude. He's losing all of his power. Sorry for all the, for the 8 My Hero Academia fans in here. He's like All Might at the end of his like power cycle. You know what I mean? He can only run the All Might character for like 20 minutes and he's like at the end of his juice now.
Mr. President, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
ABC News also offered a one-on-one interview to Donald Trump after the debate. He declined. Let's bring in our political team for what they're hearing. Let me start out with our chief Washington correspondent, John Carl. And John, John,
the
you
week.
watched
That one in the middle.
you watched the interview. You've been talking to people all across Washington. What are you hearing?
Well, George, look, Biden looks better and certainly more coherent than he looked during the debate.
I mean, yeah,
but
because
there-
he looked really bad in the debate.
Yeah.
It's like, that's a low bar to set. You know what I mean? He looked a little bit better than the debate. Still not great.
There's nothing in this interview that is calming nerves of jittery Democrats who fear that Joe Biden is on a trajectory to lose this race, to lose to Donald Trump. In fact, for some of those people, the interview is raising new concerns, particularly...
Okay, the interview just happened. What do you mean it's raising new concerns? How do they know? How do they know? What the
To the host of the interview, he was like, I need to go to the doctor right now and talk to look at Biden.
the fact that he is unwilling or unaware of the fact that he is in a dire situation here regarding the campaign, that he is losing.
Yeah, because he's demented, dog. That's why he like doesn't even understand that he's underwater.
In the view of many Democrats, and frankly, in the polls you cited, that he is losing to Donald Trump. And there was one question that you asked where his answer is particularly, I believe, alarming to some of those Democrats. You asked him how he will feel in January if he has lost to Donald Trump and all that he has warned would happen came to pass. And this was his answer. He said,
this is the worst
I'll
part,
feel as long as I gave it my all and did the best job I know I can do, that's what this is about. One prominent ally of the...
Yeah, I know. They're trying to clean it up a little bit. No, sir. He specifically said goodest. I'm the goodest boy.
The president simply responded to me, wow, when I asked about that question. So the bottom line here...
The White House actually disputed that he said goodest job or goodest job. The White House wants a word. Wait, what?
But none of those make sense.
What is a good ass
Oh,
job?
that's Australian. It's like good ass.
Yeah, you say good ass job.
Good ass
Yeah, but this
job.
Biden does not. He's not.
Or you
saying
saying a
that.
good ass job.
Yeah, good ass job. ABC News tweaked his transcript of an intriguing moment in his Friday interview with the president after the Biden administration and news outlets raised questions. This is the path to victory.
Yeah.
You don't understand. No,
said good
the
ass.
White House is killing it right now, dude. Oh my god. Yeah, he said good ad job. That's what he said. ABC News adjusted his initial transcript of a much discussed moment in the President Biden's Friday interview after White House. Oh my god, it's so bad. Oh my god, this is what we're doing? Oh, this is so bad. The moment occurred after the end of Mr. Biden's interview when George Stephanopoulos asked the president how he would feel if he stayed in the presidential race and was defeated by former President Donald J. Trump. I'll feel as long as I gave it my all and I did the goodest job I know I can do.
Good ass is not any better.
I did the
What's
good ass job and I know I can do. Like as good as a job. As good as a job is not good as job.
Good ass job.
What the
it would be really fun to be on his campaign.
Also-
Like try to come up with a ways to save it.
He was,
That's good
actually,
ass.
he was actually quoting someone from the 80s movie. You know, that's what
that's
he's
what
got
he's
a good
doing.
memory.
The moment occurred towards the end of Mr. Biden's interview. I feel as long as I gave it my all and I did the good ass job I know I can do.
Good ass job.
This is so psychotic because like their defense of this, as good as a job as I can do, is 4 additional words, bro. He did not say those words. So if your defense is, no, he said I'll do as good as job as I can do, then you're still failing. Like that actually low-key makes this sound even worse, as a matter of fact. How is that possible?
It's also not relevant. Like, are you denying he can't be?
It's very obvious
It's
that he's
very obvious. You're nitpicking this one sentence and be
but
like, no, this was right. This one here.
fine.
It's so bad, bro. It's so bad. By Saturday afternoon, the quote in Network's online transcript had changed slightly. I'll feel as long as I gave it my all and I did the good ass job as I know I can do. That's what this is about.
That's actually worse than good as.
He didn't say that. Why is this a moment of contest? Like, why is this being contested? Like, maybe they think this is like a good way to neutralize the fact that he said, oh, I'll get a participation trophy, even though like the entire narrative has been democracy's on the ballot. And now instead of democracy's on the ballot, what's on the ballot is like Joe Biden trying his hardest and still losing.